The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throbbing my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
Earnestly Podcast coming to you. What is it? January 8th already. Jesus, 2025. Wow, can I get that right? 25. All right, we're here again with the Degenerate. It is Super Wildcard Weekend here. By the way, Zach, you won again last week. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, it makes sense because I hit another football bet, but
Yeah.
that's
So
about the only time I know I have a shot at beating you.
yeah, we gotta. This should be a really interesting show today. Not shouldn't go as long as normal because it's only 6 games to cover on the NFL side. We'll touch on the college football semifinals also too, and then we got a little debate we're gonna have a little quick on the back end of the show that was sparked in our group chat between myself, you and Mr. Chris Charismatic about Chris Paul, which seems to be like a yearly thing now with us now. Because you and your forever hatred of Chris Paul. I don't get
My
it.
hatred of Chris Paul.
We call
Chris's
nut puncher. The
love
nut
of
puncher.
Chris Paul.
Nut puncher. I don't know,
Since
man.
his college days, he was a nut puncher.
Yeah, he was. He's been. Super Wildcard Weekend here. Before we get started, any thoughts on the coaches situation? So we saw a couple firings. We saw Jeremy Hill got fired by the Patriots. We saw Doug Peterson, no surprise, got fired by the Jaguars. Antonio Pierce got fired by the Raiders. Any thoughts on those transactions so far?
For me, the only one that was a real surprise was the Mayo fire.
Why?
Because of the excuse that they put out, for one, and the person that they're going to try and bring in for two.
Mike Vrabel?
So Vrabel was an open candidate already. You could have had him last year.
Yeah.
You chose to go after Gerard Mayo because that gave you a conditional third-round pick. By just moving a minority up from defensive coordinator to head coach, you gained a draft pick. Now, they're going to say, oh, it's because he was getting requested for interviews and we didn't want to lose him. All right. Well, then why are you getting rid of him now? Nothing would have changed. He's probably still going to be brought in under the guise of the Maroney rule for some interviews. But you got to figure he's going to get replaced by Vrabel, who they should have hired last year. The Antonio Pierce thing, I'm sorry, there's just too much smoke to believe that Deion Sanders and his son aren't going to end up in Las Vegas with Tom Brady there.
Well, if that happens, they have to trade up because what now 7th or 6th in the order?
They're that far? I thought they're like 4th or 5th.
We're 4 or 5. They're not 3rd. We're 3rd. The Giants are 3rd.
Yeah.
So
Patriots are 4, so I think they're 5. But
okay.
Yeah, so they trade up, all right, in a weak draft class.
Yeah.
But my gut feeling is they got rid of Pierce because they're looking to do a combo package and bring in Sanders.
Oh, so you're buying into that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you're buying into that. Okay, interesting. I thought it would have been. I thought that was all pie in the sky thing. I mean, you hear about it, but it's like okay, I get it, but there's nothing I've seen in the last month that makes you believe it's going to happen. Deion has said on record that he's committed to Colorado right now. So I mean, I'm not saying he couldn't change his mind, but I haven't seen any movement to make me believe that anything's going to happen there. But look, anything's possible. We've seen it. We've seen people say things and do another. Nick Saban, for example. Dolphins. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to Alabama. 4 days later, he's in Alabama. I mean, so
Yeah,
shit has
Urban
happened.
Meyer. I'm never gonna leave Florida. I'm never gonna coach again. Up, I'm at Ohio State.
Nope. Yeah, exactly. What else? What about the Giants retaining Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, the head coach and GM? They do get retained for another season. You have any thoughts on that? I mean, you smile ear to ear there, Mr. Washington Commanders fan.
Look, I don't think any of them. Yeah, there is some blame to go to Dayball. All right, but honest to God, how your GM gets to keep his job after what he's done for the last 2 to 3 years, with who he's going to franchise, who he's going to give big money to, who he lets walk out the door. I'm sorry. That guy has to have lost his job.
I'm not saying
keep Brian Daboll because I believe every young quarterback, his first head coach should be an offensive-minded coach.
And that's Daboll, for example, right?
Yeah.
So look. I've defended all year long that they need to stay for obvious reasons. I've spoken over and over again in this podcast about that. I see the argument for letting them both or one of them go, especially Joe Shane. I'm not saying it's like people are wrong for thinking that way. But I do think because I think what has saved their jobs, and especially Joe Shane, is that they weren't the ones to decide on the Daniel Jones extension 2 years ago. It wasn't them. It was John Mara. Okay, had Joe Shane said that, and given how everything played out after that, I would imagine they would have jumps today. They will. Go ahead.
John Mara literally gave him that amount of money. There was no negotiations. You couldn't have negotiated down. I'm sorry to believe the GM had nothing to do with that.
Maybe on the negotiating side of it, but in terms of like who we want to be the leader of the franchise, if the owner says he wants that, look at Jerry Jones, dude. At the end of the day, Jerry Jones in Dallas is everything goes through him. He's the owner, president, GM. And at the end of the day, if the owner says this is what he wants, then you just have to deal with that.
Yeah, but he takes the arrows as the GM. It's not the same with your GM and your owner.
Yeah. But I get the argument. I do get the argument of wanting them to be gone. And a lot of Giant fans. I mean, I will say the decision to keep them is not very popular. What I will say is this, though, as a Giant fan who's been quite pissed off since Tom Coughlin has been gone now 10 years, I'm sick and tired of changing coaches, bro. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. Every 2-3 years, changing coaches from Ben McAdoo to Joe Judge to Pat Shurmur to now what we have here. I'm done. I'm done. You know, and I know people say, "Oh, Mike Tomlin's been too long." I get that, but can we have a coach 5 years? Like, geez, come on, 5 years. Give me 5 years. Good Lord. So, anyway, all right. It is Super Wildcard Weekend. In the NFL. Looking forward to this weekend. These are actually some very intriguing matchups. You got one game on, 2 games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and then 1 on Monday, which we'll be together for the Monday game, which I think is the game of the week, honestly, the game of the weekend. First game first, Chargers at Texans. The Chargers are 3-point favorites. The over/under 47.5. Zach, I think the Chargers are the wild card on the dark horse of the AFC.
No.
The dark horse.
But I think they have the easiest matchup of the entire first round.
Oh, yeah, without question.
And when I say that, it makes me wonder, why is Vegas only making the spread 3 points? This should be a 7-point spread, even Houston, with the Chargers going on the road.
Explain.
Houston has been collapsing since about week 8, week 9 of the season. They haven't put together maybe one good game since then. And now you bring in Harbaugh and company, who has a ton of experience, a quarterback in Herbert who you can trust and rely on. I just feel like with the defensive weapons they have, that CJ Stroud's going to be running for his life, and he holds on to the ball too much. So now you have a pass rush that's going to be hungry and a guy holding on to the ball for too long. It doesn't make for a good combo.
There's no question the Chargers win this game. No question about that. I get why. I get your argument about like why the spread's so low as to why it isn't. I get it, but I mean, look, I have no bones about this. I already called the Chargers my fuck shit up team, the team that no one's considering winning the win the AFC, but they're the team in the bracket that can fuck shit up because right now they have the easiest first round matchup, which I agree with 100%. If they win, they're likely to play the Chiefs in the second round of playoffs based on what the matchup looks like here in the AFC, barring an upset somewhere else on the bottom. They've lost to the Chiefs by combined 9 points this year in 2 games. Okay, familiarity can actually be advantage for the Chargers in that Chiefs game. They're not going to fear the Chiefs in the second round of playoffs. Okay, so they're the team that can. People expect the Chiefs to be in the AFC title game, but if there's a team that can change that dynamic and change the entire spectrum of that AFC bracket, it is the Chargers. So, but you got Chargers. You taking Chargers here on points? I am as well too. And again, I'll say it again. Jim Harbaugh, culture changer. Everywhere he goes, things change immediately when he gets there. He is the best. He's a top 3 football coach, regardless of high school, college, pros. Best football coach on top 3 on the planet, and has been probably for about 15 years now.
I won't go that far. I also don't think it was a major culture change. I think getting rid of a guy who had no concept of how to call a timeout, how to work the clock. Yeah.
Well, he sucked too. But the thing is, people thought this would be a rebuilding year because, you have the quarterback, but they had cap issues. A lot of guys they cut, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, they released, and there was a lot of dead money there, so there wasn't much flexibility there, so they're relying on young players to, and yet here we are. They won 11 games, and they are, a team that could be a threat in that conference if things play out the way they want to. So, job well done with Jim Harbaugh this year. Definitely one of the best coaching jobs of the year. I mean, I still give it to Dan Campbell. Ultimately, by the way, I changed my pick on that. My coach of the year. I don't know if you saw that on my podcast the other day. I actually went from Kevin O'Connell to Dan Campbell after Sunday's game because what Dan Campbell did, not having 13 defensive starters from week 1 not available on Sunday, and they still do what they did, is pretty fucking impressive.
It was. It still didn't change my mind.
Yeah. No, Kevin O'Connell, it's not a bad choice as a record. It's those 2 guys, though.
Yeah.
And if you want to throw Harbaugh in the mix, you can throw Harbaugh in the mix. Or even Sean Payton. But.
Maybe at 5 or 6. I think it was overblown on how bad the Chargers were going to be because they still had all these defensive weapons. All right. They had Khalil Mack, Bosa, Darwin James. I mean, they had defenders, star quality defenders at every level on defense.
Fair enough.
They have a Pro Bowl left tackle.
Well, we'll see what happens this weekend. This is going to be a big one here because like I said, we are likely, depending on the matchups, to get Chargers Chiefs second round. That should be a barn burner. All right, we both got Chargers here to cover. All right. Next game here, 8:00 Saturday. Steelers at Ravens. The Ravens are 9.5 point favorites. The over/under is 43.5. Zach.
To me, this is the game of the weekend.
Really?
Yes.
The biggest spread too?
Yes. I'm sorry, but the Steelers have Lamar's number. They have the Ravens' number. They have Lamar's number. And no matter what we think of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson at quarterback for that team, if Ravens can't move down the football field and score, it's going to be a close game, and it's going to come down to situational ball play. It's not going to be a 9.5 point spread.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like the Steelers in the game.
To win,
not to win,
okay,
but plus 9.5. Yeah.
For the record, I'm with you on that. And I was on the PBKC podcast this morning, and I was the only one in the panel made the case for Steelers on the points. It is uncomfortable for me to see, and I get both these teams going in different directions right now. Ravens are surging, Steelers are falling apart. But this has been the best rivalry in football for the last 15 years. It is weird for me to see a spread this high. I don't give a damn where these teams are at. If the spread is anything more than 5 or 6 points, it is weird for me. To see it at 9.5, 10 points, it's insane. And yet, this is reflective of where both these teams are right now, currently heading into this game on Saturday. A buddy of mine today gave me a stat, and now granted, this is a fantasy football stat, where Lamar Jackson's fantasy numbers average is like, I believe, like 32 points a game overall, but against the Steelers is like 20 points less.
I believe it.
So to your point, yeah, I can see that. The best bet though, that's what we're doing here. We're talking about the best bet.
They're going under.
No, I'm going over actually.
Really?
These teams will score. Look, the Ravens teams ain't that good. They play better in recent weeks.
Yeah,
but they're not good. They're not. This juggernaut like they used to be. And so Pittsburgh can score. Russell Wilson gets on a heater. He can score some points here. Baltimore obviously can score because they got Lamar and Derrick Henry. 43.5 points feels too low. This is not the all Big Ben versus Joe Flacco. Steelers Ravens stuff. This is not the same rivalry. These two teams can score when need be. So my best bet, not who's going to win, because I got both winning this game, and I actually like Steelers on the points. But if I'm making the best bet, betting the over in this game.
I could never see that one.
But I got to ask you this though. Mike Tomlin, say they lose this game, and they get embarrassed. So the chatter. Now, granted, this is from Steeler fans, but the chatter's getting louder and louder about wanting change.
Well,
I know it's not what they do. They only have to be coaches through the entire time the franchise. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, now Mike Tomlin. So it's not what they do anyway. Change coaches like this. And I'm a Mikey T guy. I don't want to see him go, but at the same time, I can understand the argument for and the value of wanting to change a voice now, nearly 20 years later. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's coming up. If they don't win this game, you're coming up on basically a decade without a playoff win.
Yeah.
I don't know of another coach in any sport who was able to go that long without a single playoff win.
Yeah. And it's not their job, right? Yeah.
And that kind of brings me to the other argument we had before we got on the Chris Paul discussion. But we'll leave that one to the side.
Okay. So, but you like Pittsburgh, I got the over. Okay. So the Sunday. Broncos and Bills. Bills are 8.5-point favorites. The over-under is 47, Zach.
Look, I'm going to play it safe and go over. No, I'm not. I'm still taking the Bills. I do not see Bo Nix showing up for a playoff game, rookie season, when their offense is so up and down.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I could see this game being sneaky competitive for the first 2.5 quarters. Like Denver's hanging around, they're young, they don't know the pressure, they just happy to be there, and this game's close. Buffalo is, a little rested since they've been the starters last week, and this could be a tight game where Buffalo's up, but not quite putting teams away. And then late third quarter, either a big turnover by Bo Nix or someone, or Josh Allen makes a big play and they pull away late and they end up covering the spread. That's the way I see it. Buffalo wins this game. There's no doubt about that. Buffalo wins this game. And I think, in fact, I think the best bet is likely Buffalo covering 8.5 points as well too. I just think that the environment, this Bills team is a lot of focus, and then Denver has been a little inconsistent last couple weeks too, especially. So, I know I'm going to say, oh, they beat the Chiefs at 38 points. Come on, that wasn't the Chiefs. Okay, stop. No. That was, and honestly, the Chiefs do the assignment. Don't let Denver in the playoffs. Let don't Cincinnati in the playoffs. Let Denver win because had that result not happened, Bengals win because Miami lost.
Yeah.
So so yeah, and the Bengals are actually the scarier team of the three.
Oh, absolutely.
Which way they're playing now. So they understood the assignment. So Bills here. Bills are focused, locked in, and we get the Bills Ravens second. Oh my God, can you believe that next week? Possible Bills Ravens second round playoff matchup. Ooh, look out for that. All right, the second Sunday game we have Packers at Eagles. Eagles 4.5-point favorites. The over under is 45.5. Zach.
This is where I play it safe. I'm gonna root Green Bay, but I'm just gonna take the over. I'm gonna assume that Jalen Hurts makes it back for the game. But even without him, Saquon can score. Malik Harris has looked pretty good in that offense for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. I see a point. I don't like the Green Bay I watched last month or so. And honestly, looking back in hindsight, because I know I was big on the Packers back in like week 4, week 5, when, and this is granted, this is when Jordan Love went down after week 1, and they won couple games with Willis, a quarterback. And I remember I said on the show that, the Packers might be the dark horse of the NFC. Maybe during the title game, things play out their way. But then I realized, good year for the Packers, 11-6, obviously, really good year. But where are the quality wins? They don't have a quality win on their resume this year at all. And in fact, they've eked out wins against the Bears, against teams, just really bad teams that there's no quality wins on that schedule. And look, I'm not pretending it's college football here we're talking about here, but like this they're kind of Jekyll and Hyde now. And they've had opportunities recently in the recent weeks to, okay, let's see, get the quality win to make you believe in yourself, and they lose to Detroit. Oh, they lose to Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? And then Jordan Love is hurt. Chris Watson's out for the year. So I don't like what I'm seeing from Green Bay coming in number 1. Jalen Hurts is gonna play on Sunday. They ain't no say about that. The only reason they haven't said anything yet is because there's no need to. He has till Thursday to clear protocol. It's been almost 3 weeks since the injury. He's gonna be fine. He's clearing protocol. And the Eagles are healthy. They're very healthy. They're very healthy right now. So as much as it pains me to say this, and believe me, Zach, it does. You and I both hate the Eagles. You know that. Eagles win this game and win this game going away. Honestly, if I'm betting right now, this assumes Jalen Hurts is playing, because you're actually stealing money at 4.5 points right now. Take the Eagles to cover easy, So give me the Eagles here to cover easily. So that's really, I get the safe thing for you, but I don't like Green Bay coming to this game. I pray I'm wrong, because God, I hate the Packers, but I just don't see it. So all right, next one. Here we go. It's your game. 8:00, Sunday Night Football. Commanders at Buccaneers. The Bucs are 3-point favorites. The over/under, Zachary, 50. Sell us why the Commanders win this game. Sell us on that.
Tampa Bay gives up 30 to everybody. Why shouldn't we be able to win? Why shouldn't we be able to outscore them in this kind of game? And hey, all we got to do is shut down Mike Evans. You shut down Mike Evans, and you basically control their offense. So, yeah, I think we got a good shot. Now, what could screw the Commanders is if we decide to hand the ball off 20-plus times to Robinson.
Why's that?
But our shitty running back.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
No. That's the one spot I will be praying we upgrade during the draft of the offseason.
Very possible. You think Washington win this game?
Yes, I do.
So let me say this for the record. I think they'll win the game. Okay. Now, that said, I'm not fully confident about it. This is a 50-50 game. This is also, to me, the best game or second best game of the weekend, in my opinion. And this game go either way. Tampa's at home. They've been here before. Baker Mayfield, when he's focused, and which is most of the time is, he's dangerous as hell. But again, the best bet for me, honestly, as you mentioned, you kind of teased it. Tampa gives up 30 points on every week. So the best bet's the over. So if I'm saying Washington win this game, and Tampa gives a lot of points, Tampa can't score 2 also for the record, then I'm going to take the over in this one. So to me, the best bet's the over, honestly. But I do think Washington wins the game, though. But I'm just not as confident, because this is an even Steven game at this point, in my opinion. So
yeah.
So give me the Commanders. I'm actually waiting for you guys to win the game too, also, even as an NFC East rival. All right, and finally, Monday Night Football will be live at Flanagan's here in West where I guess West Palm, where hell. Vikings at Rams. Keep an eye on this game too, because the Fire's in LA. This word is that they're going to play a game Monday no matter what, but it could be moved to Arizona if necessary. Vikings 1-point favorites. The over under is 47.5. Zach. Game of the weekend.
This is a really hard one.
It's the hardest one of the weekend, I think.
And if I wouldn't have seen Minnesota lay an egg basically this past weekend, I'd be no doubt screaming the Vikings. But with Matthew Stafford there, I mean, man can sling it. But both his wide receivers could be out of the game by the end of the first quarter. So I'm still going to take the Vikings.
So I'm in the same boat as you two also. Like my gut is telling me the Vikings win this game because they have the better roster up and down. Like obviously better quarterback. You go Matthew Stafford, obviously.
Yeah.
Offense, like overall, it's kind of a wash because you have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp healthy right now, but you also have Justin Jefferson on the other side too, also who can
Allison.
And Addison's a baller for the record. But I think the best bet is the over as well too. I'm wondering, because Sam Darnold had the jitters last week. He looked like he had the jitters. He was missing throws last week, and he hadn't done that all year long, honestly. Is that out of the system now? If it's out of the system, he'd be fine this week, I think. So he had his biggest game of his career last week, and now biggest game of his career now is this week, playoff game. So I think last week was more about Detroit showing us that we them boys, we're here, and showing folks that who they are. But overall, look again, this is like the Commanders Bucks game. This game go either way. 50-50. I also think there's a home crowd advantage also for LA because I think the home crowd would be 60-40 LA, but Vikings fans travel well too also.
Oh yeah.
So I think if you ask who I think's going to win the game, I'm leaning Vikings. But the best bet when he's doing a show is the over. The over is the best bet. I see fireworks in this one. And I mean on that field too, yeah, definitely. So should be a great weekend of NFL Wildcard Weekend. We have some duds the last couple of years at Super Wildcard Weekend. Hopefully this week it won't be that way. At least with some of these games setting up that way. So, all right, let's get to college football real quick. We're in the semis now, the Final Four. Zach, for the record, I don't like any of these teams. I hate all four of these teams. Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas. Hate them all four of them. So I don't know who to root for, honestly. I have no rooting interest. I'm just going to enjoy football for the sake of football. I mean, I'm sure there's probably teams I'm going to root for because who I hate more than the others. But tomorrow night, Notre Dame, Penn State. I guess with a spread, we go with the spread 1-2. Notre Dame is 1-point favorites, over under 45 points. Zach, you want to add this to our best bets for the week? We can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do it. So Notre Dame 1-point favorites, over under Penn State. Who you got?
So I'm going to lean towards Notre Dame. I think they have a better coach, and I just cannot stand Penn State.
Me too. But I hate Notre Dame more. I hate Notre Dame more. I do. Historically, hate them more. I have reasons for Notre Dame. Some of my friends are Notre Dame fans. Some of my closest friends are. I love their coach, Marcus Freeman. But I can't. Look, I think Notre Dame wins the game. The best bet though is the under in this game, honestly.
No, I agree.
You think
Notre Dame.
Okay, cool. All right. And then the other one, Ohio State and Texas. Ohio State now, that lines will drop down to 5.5 points. Over under 53. Zach.
So I've got to take Texas. When we started discussing this 12-team playoff, you asked me who I thought would win. Thought it was Texas. And believe it or not, I'm actually rooting for Quinn Ewers. I would like to see him go out on top so that he has a future in the NFL. Whether or not he's any good, who knows? but he has no shot at playing at Texas next year. So I'm rooting for Texas. I legit can't stand Ohio State.
Yeah, but what's the best bet here? Who wins this game? You got
I
Texas.
think Texas wins the game outright. So them getting points, yes.
You think Texas wins this game? You think Texas wins this game?
Yes.
You've been watching Ohio State last couple weeks, right?
I have.
This is a completely different team. This team I have not seen all year long. You know, we thought after the Michigan games, like, whoa, what the hell? I look. Well, I'm besides here this one definitely. I'm taking Ohio State to win this game, and honestly, it ain't gonna be close. I think Ohio State wins this game to run away. I think Texas is completely overrated. So this means it's easy. Ohio State's is a whole new team. Jeremiah Smith is a baller. I think the pressure Ryan Day is facing now since losing Michigan, he's felt that. I think now those 2 games on his belt, blowing out Oregon, blowing out Tennessee. I just think that's to me. I think Ohio State's the best team right now in college football. Honestly, I hate to say that because I don't have rooting interest in these two teams. I guess I'm kind of rooting for. I don't know, man. I hate both of these schools, to be honest with you. So it doesn't even matter to me. Let's see great football. Let's see a shootout. How about that? Maybe at the over.
There we
but
go.
no, Ohio State wins this game. No, I bet Ohio State wins this game. I think Ohio State blows them out, blows those off. I don't care. I don't even care if this game's playing in Texas, honestly. So that's that. All right. So there's our best bets. We're going to include the college games in our best bets this week as well too, for our comparisons here. All right. One last thing out of here. You and I were in a conversation about Chris Paul. You and I and Chris, and you made the crazy ass statement. Let me see if I can find it real quick on my phone real quick. Saying that basically Chris Paul is a fringe top 10 guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which pissed me off. Now, you guys know Zach's on the show from day one. He said he's a day one guy here. And Zach has an issue with Chris Paul. I don't know what it is. Some person. I don't know. Did he sleep with a former girlfriend of yours? I don't know. What is it? Some shit.
It's one thing to act like you're a tough guy or act like you're a man. When you're punching opponents constantly in the nuts early in your career and pretending like you weren't intentionally doing it,
yeah,
you rub me the wrong way. I think you're a dirty player to begin with.
And I get that. So let me read the text real quick. I'll start out. So I started the conversation 2 nights ago saying, situation with Chris Paul, everywhere he goes, he's a net positive. And you responded with, everywhere he goes, he has no shot at the ring. And then Chris says after that OKC season, he proved he was an all-timer. And I said both can be right here. He could be an asshole and all this stuff, but he's still, a top 10-ish guy. And you said no, he's the only borderline top 10 point guard. White chocolate than more or less. And that triggered me. Like, Jason Williams, really? Over at Chris Paul? What the fuck's wrong with you, man?
Who'd you like watching more when they were playing?
Honestly, I love Chris Paul's game, though. So you asking the wrong person on that one.
All right. Well,
even though Williams was flashy as hell, and obviously he got to get us a ring in Miami in 2006, but still. Stop.
All right. So you agree, from even through your text, he's not a top 5 point guard, right?
I think it's a conversation. I think so. Top 10 point guard. I mean, you know what? We're gonna do this on my basketball retro podcast down the road. One episode, probably do a top 10 ranking of point guards, maybe top 20. Who knows? And so my top 3 is lock, stock, and barrel. Yeah. The top 3 is in order: Magic, Curry, Isaiah. I think
number 4 has got to be a lock. Stockton, right?
Okay, Stockton number 4. I'm with you on that. Number 5. So this is the thing. I'm not arguing with you about Chris Paul being top 5.
Because number 5 is Oscar.
Because number 5 could be a combination of Oscar. I would say even Jason Kidd could be ahead of him, arguably.
Yeah, Jason Kidd would be 6.
You said borderline top 10.
Yeah, so 6 is Jason Kidd. 7, the only other guy in the pre-1980 would be Tiny Archibald, all right? Mm-hmm. To not put him in the top 10 ahead of Chris Paul is a disgrace to the NBA. You're talking about a guy who averaged 30 and 10 during the season. Chris Paul can't average 15 and 10.
Yeah, but Chris Paul's not a scorer, though.
Dude, if they're both putting up 10 assists a game and one scoring 30 versus the other only scoring 15, who's the better point guard?
Isn't point guard about distributing too also, though?
They're both averaging 10 assists a game. So who you?
I guess
once you go, they're same assist level.
you threw a
turnover
wrench in
level.
that. You threw a wrench in that one because I didn't get the Archibald. And for record, he's a conversation be top 10 also too. I'm just saying that you threw a wrench in that one because we were listing out 10 guys, and I said, those five I mentioned earlier.
So now we're at 7.
Okay.
Let's go to 8. 2-time MVP
Steve Nash.
Yeah, the guy who helped revolutionize the offense in the NBA today.
Who you take though? Chris Paul or Gary Payton?
That's where it becomes an argument for number 9, right?
Okay.
Borderline 10, top 10, 9, 10. So now you're like Gary Payton, who led his own team to a finals.
So Chris Paul.
He led his team. He was the man on that team.
Him and Booker only won a 1B. Stop now. Don't do that.
No. He wasn't even 1. He was a 2. Gary Payton was way better.
So you're gonna get a Gary Payton?
If we're going prime point guard, yeah.
I don't know if I can go with that, man. I honestly, my argument for Chris Paul is that every team he goes to, no matter what, he elevates that team. And including this Spurs team this year, who is right now at 500 with a bad roster, okay, with Wemby, and he's at least calmed the waters there. The Spurs right now in the almost middle of January are a play-in team right now. They have no business being this good right now, second year of Wemby. With the same rosters last year.
Why would they not? Because Wemby's already top 10. He's already a top 10 talent in the league.
He's probably top 5 now at this point. Oh, my God.
All right, so if you want to go, he's already top 5, then Chris Paul ain't the reason. It's because you have a second-year player who is 7 foot tall, who can do basically anything, who is a top 5 player in your eyes.
But Chris Paul has one of the problems I had with the Spurs last year is that you had those players around Wemby who, a lot of Wemby's scoring last year was on second chance shots or shots that was not run through him. Chris Paul has been able to calm those waters now. They can actually run a fucking offense with Chris Paul for Wemby. You know what I'm saying? So he's been able to at least elevate a little bit of Wemby too, also to where he can calm those waters a little bit now. That's his value.
Trying to run the offense to begin with last year. They were trying to get his feet wet. Right? They were trying to take his.
I see the argument though. Okay, so you get Peyton 9. Then number 10 comes down to Chris Paul. Right. So then comes down to Chris Paul.
Westbrook. Then at this point, has Russell Westbrook ever made a team bad?
A little buffering here. I apologize, guys.
Look what's going on right now with Denver. He's essentially the second best player while he's coming off the bench.
So Westbrook or Chris Paul is an argument. I can see the conversation. I think Chris Paul is more of a force multiplier than Westbrook though overall. I think a top 10 list for point guards is really hard because, again, you have guys we're missing. You have guys like Walt Frazier. It's in the conversation also too. And by the way, he has rings, multiple rings. So if you do a real argument, and then you mentioned also in that text about Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Oh crap!
Okay. So Luka.
So the fact I skipped over him, let's move him back. Luka is probably the 8th best right now, with just a few years he's played in the league. He's probably the 8th best point guard.
I'll hear Luka. I am not hearing Kyrie though. I'll hear Luka. I ain't hearing Kyrie though. Kyrie is not a force multiplier in the same way that Chris Paul is. Let's stop that noise. If you're gonna give me Luka, I'll give you Luka.
All right.
But I am not hearing Kyrie Irving. That is ridiculous.
You giving me Luka already pushes Chris Paul to argument of 10th spot now.
So let me ask you this then. Is Chris Paul in the top 10? Regardless of where he's at. Is he in the top 10? Or are you going to try and find another guy to put him on number 10 and he was 11?
I'll put Walt Frazier at 10 so that I can knock him out of the top 10.
Would you do that though? Are you just are you doing that because you really believe that? Or are you doing that because
How could I believe it? Because I didn't get to watch him play, right?
but we can use but you need the Archibald though.
Yeah. So if I'm gonna use historical context, then yeah, you have to put Walt Frazier ahead of him as well.
I think honestly we underrate this too. Also, I think doing a real top 10 point guard list, NBA point guard list, is actually probably the hardest. It might be harder than ranking the top 10 centers all time.
Yeah, because like you have the first 3 to 4 locks, and then there's arguments for 5, 6, 7,
But
and
no, the
then
thing
once you get to 8 or 9, it's wide open.
the thing is though, there will be quality guys left out in the top 10 of point guards. I don't think they'll have the same problem with centers. You know what I'm saying? Like right now we're talking about Chris Paul not being in the top 10. Like you are anyway. I think ridiculous. But you're talking about Chris Paul not being in the top 10 at all. And when we bring up these names like the Archibalds and the Fraziers and people that don't even consider, and those are real arguments for the record.
Yeah, because I also didn't ever watch Oscar, but you know, at a
we know the impact though. We know the impact.
Yeah.
So, and then you have like guys like Dennis Johnson too. Who also, wasn't flashy, but he won titles. He was a key component of those Celtics teams. Also won a title on his own in Seattle too. So, I think a top 10 point guard list is harder to put together than a top 10 center list.
Yeah, I think for us, Chris Paul came in right about the time we hit our 20s. And so we hold on to him because he's at the forefront of most of at least half of our lifespan.
But I'm not holding on to that. What I'm saying to you, my argument for him being in the top 10 is more so that every team he's gone to, he has elevated. Every single one. Even the bad ones. Even the Thunder, and was it 2019, 2020 went there? And there was
Didn't they go to the playoffs the year before?
There was a contract. There was when they before they traded away the players. They had no one there.
Never missed the playoffs, even without him, till they got rid of everybody.
He goes to Houston, and if it's gonna hurt, they beat the Warriors, in the conference finals. Back in 2018. It's frustrating because like Chris Paul does hurt himself with the injuries plus the playoff failures does hurt. I do agree with you on that one, but he has elevated some really bad teams also too. I mean, you got to give him credit. Like that Thunder team that he went to for that 1 year, that was a salary dump. They traded him there to OKC as a salary dump, and there was supposed to be a lottery team, and they were supposed to be a lottery team, and they were 5 seed in the Western Conference that year.
And who did he play alongside at that point?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. Because Russ was gone at that point. Russ was long gone at that point. Paul George was gone at that point. Yeah. Didn't have anybody there. Was SGA there yet at that point? SGA wasn't even SGA yet. So, I just think that we and I get your, again, you don't like the guy, and I get it. Dirty player, nut puncher, blah blah blah. I get that. And I'm not arguing top 5. I remember a couple years ago you and I were arguing top 5, and you won that battle because I think if we really look at broadly a top 5, you have to hold the playoff fields against him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guys in the 4, and no reason Stockton gets top 5. Really, honestly, is because of the numbers.
Because he dominated. Every point guard who ever played against Stockton says he was the hardest guy they played against.
Yeah. It was Michael Jordan. They win a title.
So I'm sorry. He beat so many good teams, and you know what did he have? Karl Malone, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Greg Ostertag. Yeah, that was a dominant center right there.
It wasn't for Michael Jordan. They get one of those 2 titles.
Yeah. So let's be honest about what Stockton did. He dominated at his position.
Yeah. But I would never put him ahead of Zeke though. There are people who say he's better than Isaiah Thomas. Fuck that shit. Isaiah Thomas won titles. He beat Jordan. He beat Bird. He beat Magic, won titles. The only guy can say
that. I have him at 3, right?
There you go. At least you got that right. So yeah, I don't go to bat with Chris Paul. I go for Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas, I'll go to war for. That's the guy I go to war for.
And the guy we got The third guy in our conversation is a guy who puts Chris Paul still ahead of Steph Curry. So, I mean,
Chris is ridiculous. Chris is ridiculous. No, he didn't put him all time ahead of Steph Curry though.
yes, he has.
That's for 1 year.
No.
Oh, he did. I think he did do that
All
on the
time.
old pods. I got to listen to our podcast again though, but he did. Yeah, he might have done that actually, and I remembered. And we had a big fight about that, a big stink about that. So I don't know, man. I get it. Anyway, that's this week's show. Zach, look at your picks. As you know, we're gonna have 8 games here, the 6 playoff games, and of course the college football playoff semifinals on the docket. Good luck with your picks. I will see you Monday, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's enjoy the Rams Vikings playoff game. So good job by you, man, as always.
All right, good night, man.
All right, brother. Be good. Later, man.
Hey!